see. We'll scrape. There's not much on this glass. There is some on the back. Did a super, oh, there is some right there I should probably get. Super heavy cleaning on the pumps. Yeah, yes, well, not yesterday, sorry. Sunday, I replaced my impeller on my CJ pump for my return, which, shout out to CJ, they didn't even care. They just said, yep, I'll send you a new one. And it's been working so far. Haven't really had an issue with it, but I did soak the whole pump in citric acid, so that probably helped quite a bit as well. I'll worry about the back a different time. I don't want to start messing stuff up. This citric acid, that stuff works amazing. Beautiful setup, love this. Thanks, Gary. This is my tiny little paradise, I guess you would say. I've had plenty of tanks. Well, I don't want to say plenty of tanks. I've had other tanks, but this one really makes it look, everything came together, I guess you could say. But hey, Mike, thanks for definitely subscribe. Thank you. That's awesome. Much love to all the subscribers. Honestly, I never thought I'd have 300. That's crazy. This tank is a beautiful little tank. It's really pretty easy, and you got to get one, Gary. These little nanos are, I don't want to say they're easy because they have their challenges, but you stick to your maintenance, and it's quite amazing what these little things will do. And they're affordable now. You can get like an all-in-one setup, rock, light, everything. $500, I think. They're definitely worth it. Hello Reef is the one that I'm talking of. I haven't used it myself, but I have recommended it to a few people who's asked me, if you were to getting into the hobby or whatever, what do you recommend? And I can't say it enough. The Hello Reef comes with rock, sand, your light, the tank, your pump. I don't think it comes with a wave maker, but you don't really need one to start. It comes with your testers, your ammonia, all that stuff to be able to do, like to check if your tank's ready for cycling. It's really a nice setup, especially considering, some people that are just getting into the hobby don't really know where to go to get certain things. Say rock, sand, all that other stuff. But yeah, those are nice little setups. Oh, nice, Mike. Yeah, I've been in the hobby for 15 years, off and on throughout those years. I started with like a basic 10-gallon tank, and I look back at the pictures and it's so funny to look at because, back then I had a 10-gallon tank with a yellow tang in it, and that just makes me, I shouldn't laugh, but it makes me laugh because I just, I didn't have an idea at the time what I was really doing. So, super fine sand, bought a NEM, like I think a month into it was all bleached out. Like I just made so many mistakes, but you live and you learn, and I think that's one of the biggest things with this hobby is you learn so much by just doing certain things. I'm not saying do it to just do it, but you know what I mean. I breed all sorts of including. Oh, nice. Yeah, I kind of wanted a seahorse tank, like a little seahorse tank. I was thinking of. Um, Maybe if I upgrade this one down the road, turn this into like a low flow seahorse tank would be pretty cool. But I'm not really sure. Uh, my wife is really interested in the seahorses. She thought that'd be pretty cool. I also thought about turning it into just an octopus tank as well, but I'm not sure yet. Don't even. I'm not even sure about what I'm gonna upgrade to. So. If you want, you can come to my house and make a pond here. I have a nice little stream that goes in my backyard. I've been planning on digging something out for that as well. I have a river right across the street and a small stream that goes behind my house. It's a nice little area. I live up here in Maine, and yeah, if you want to come by and build a pond for me, that'd be awesome. I have the Hydra 32 lights. I've never used the Hydras. Heard good things about them. This is a Night Crew Hyper Reef 50 watt. My buddy 207 Nano Reefing, he also has a Night Crew on his Fluval. His is a Fluval Flex 32 though, and he has a 100 watt on his. It's these the new LED lights. You know, you don't have to spend crazy amounts of money to get results. Sup Mono, how's it going? Oh, thanks, Mike. It's awesome that you came by. Yeah, I've never heard of these ones are so the thing I like about the Night Crew is the channel on the I don't want to call it a programmer, but it's the same thing as a Kessel. They have it's a little handheld plug-in programmer, I guess you would say. You have blues, the blue channel, which is your violets and your royals, I believe. And then you have your whites, which is your green, red, and cool white. And it's just broken up into two channels. You can either set it up for like 100% blues with some whites, or however you want to set it. But it's super simple. That's what I like about it, is that it's not like you're not in there playing with like individual levels. I know a lot of people like to do that, but for me it's the simplicity about these lights that really is nice. Like I don't need an app for my lights because I'm more of like a set it and forget it kind of guy. So, you know, the old rotisserie chicken commercial, set that thing and forget it. But for this tank, it's 100% blues, and they peak out. I've slowly, over time, been bringing my whites up. Probably every few months, I'll go up 5%. Right now, I'm at 15% is where I peak, and I have it peak at one point of the day, and it kind of just slowly gets up to that point, and then slowly ramps back down. Super easy. Yeah, this tank's never had a par meter in it. I started off with 100% blues. I had it set on 100% blues, I think, for almost a year. And then I slowly started, like I said, bringing my whites in. Started off at 5% and then up to 10, and now, like I said, it's up to 15. I do like some whites. It really, you know, brings some, I guess you would say, vibrance in the tank. The blues are nice, but in the they really get some color pop under blues. The problem is that it's just so dark, like you kind of hard to see. But my dotty back, who is an absolute asshole, but under blues he looks almost black. And then I have a black lightning clown up back, and he is, you can't really even tell. And then even my main blizzard clown looks blue. So I like to have some white so that you can see the fish. But that's kind of where I'm at. Also, the SPS, like, you know, a little bit more full spectrum lighting. So nice SPS corals. Yeah, thanks, Mike. I've had SPS in the past, but never, I guess you would say, this much. I kind of stuck with like Bird's Nest and maybe I think I had one Monte Digitata in the past. Nothing crazy, but this one I went to a local reefer of mine and I bought some Chaeto off of him, and he has a 150-gallon custom system. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm gonna maybe write to him one of these times, see if I can't do like a video on it. It is absolutely gorgeous setup. And I happened to write to him. I asked him, "Hey, you got any frags?" He said, "Yep, come up and we'll break some off." So he broke me off green slimer. This acro, it's like a purple acro. I'm not really sure what it is, but that acro, that little tiny green one right in front of it was just a little fragment that he had put in one of the bags. He said, "Just take it." Um, so I did, and you can't see it really too well, but there's a red digi in the back. He gave me that as well, and I had already had my bubblegum digi and my I can't even remember the name. It's not Postle Port, Stylophora, and my Setosa. I also had this rainbow encrusting, which this is a beautiful coral, but it does tend to run stuff over. So that's something that you should watch out for. But um, Antonio, yes, I test alkalinity. I try to do it. I try to do it once a week minimum. I didn't do it last week, and I haven't done it yet this week. I could probably test it right now and do it with my Hannah tester and just check. That's what I'll do, actually. I'll give you guys a little view of it. My alkalinity was high for a little bit because I run Kalkwasser, and I finally did a full dose of it. I shouldn't say full dose, but a full saturation. I run it in my auto top off, so it's constantly all day long getting calcium and alkalinity. Let's see here. All right. Break out the Hannah tester and we'll do a little test real quick. Last time I checked, and I don't try to chase numbers because I have really no problem with fluctuations in alkalinity as long as it doesn't fluctuate like a full point in a day. Obviously, if I'm not checking it, that's I'm never gonna know. But let's see. But usually, you can kind of see how things are going off your coral. That's basically my main point of what I usually do. Is I focus mostly on how the coral looks instead of anything else really. Oh, where am I here? Just trying to find my syringes so I can fill this up to my level. Where's the cap? No, it's right here. But like I said, last time I checked, I think my alkalinity was 10.5. I run reef crystals, so it has high alk anyways, and I do a water change once a week. But I do let my reef crystals continuously mix for 2 weeks. So basically I mix a batch of water, and that batch of water is like 4.5 gallons. That's 2 water changes for me. So I just continuously leave my pump in there. If you leave your pump mixing inside your reef crystals, your alkalinity will actually lower just a smidge. So it's not always high like most reef crystals is. Let's see. Mono, my favorite coral is my Oregon Tort. It's the blue SPS, bluish green SPS up top here. I always have been in love with torts, Cali Tort and Oregon Tort. The blue on them is just absolutely stunning. So it's one of those coral that I just always loved, and I never, back in the day, to me, they were quite expensive to get one, so I never did. However, I found one for relatively inexpensive in a not so local fish store. The fish store is about an hour and 45 minutes away from me, and I had to have it. So that's what I did. I bought it, and I'm super happy I bought it at the same time I got my Garth Bonsai. And both of them have encrusted and colored up quite well. Let me see here. I need a towel. Make sure I get all my fingerprints off of this glass. I agree, Mike. I never chase numbers. When I do check, it's literally just a check. I do not make any adjustments. I continually stick to my same routine every week. It's mostly just to make sure, things aren't going out of control. Maybe if I got like high phosphates, maybe cut back on the feeding. But I also have an algae reactor on the back of this tank, which only runs an hour a day. So you'd be surprised what that will pull out just the way it is. It's got a decent size amount of Chaeto in it. We will put our vial in. Get my reagent solution ready. Now again, I have not checked this in a while, so I say a while because I did not check it last week and I haven't checked it this week. So this ought to be kind of interesting, to be honest with you. Let's see. Obviously, I recommend, checking your levels, but again, don't chase anything. The hobby makes it, I guess you would say, pretty well known that you need to have certain numbers. But if you watch any of the videos online, one of my favorite ones is Worldwide Corals does, tank tours or whatever, and majority of those tanks do not have the ballpark numbers of what you need to be at. One I just watched yesterday, as a matter of fact. Oh, there we go. I don't know if you could see it. 9.9, so right around 10. I'm happy with that. That's no problem. But one I watched yesterday, guy had 0.3 phosphates with like a very extensive SPS setup, and his tank looked amazing. He had huge colonies, and it's just one of those things. Don't chase numbers. Make sure the tank looks good. Look at your coral. How are your coral looking? If everything looks fine, don't change anything. Because if you change something, you're probably going to piss it off. Antonio, I'm running Nicru Hyper Reefs. It is a cheap Amazon light. It's this light it comes with a mount and everything. I think it was $100 at the time, and then the controller is $50. They can pigtail into other lights, so you can have them in, I think you can have up to 4 of them, I believe. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, they are a very budget light. But to say that these lights don't grow and can't do anything, man, this tank has really changed my mind on low buck lights. It is also, you know, a nano. It's not very deep, but um, Night Crew. It's spelt Nicrew, and it's a Hyper Reef 100. This is a 50 watt. Sorry, but they have 100 and 150 watt. And the 150 watt has 3 pucks. It's a, you know, pretty wide light, but again, you get the controller for it for $50, and you can set these right down. They only go in 5% increments, but you can get them, you know, dialed in with your time a day and how you want your light spectrum to look. It's like I said before, it's a set and forget light, which that's my thing. I started reefing 15 years ago when, you know, we were still using on nano tanks. You're still using like a compact fluorescent light because they didn't make T5 setups for these. And then when I went to my 30 gallon, I had a 150 watt metal halide on it. So those are primarily, they come on and then they go off. Like I don't know. There's just so much in the lighting now that like you can change way too much, like way more than you need to. And I mean, I understand the mindset and the technology behind it, but you don't need all that stuff. You just need a light that can, you know, it can grow coral and good flow. That's the big thing, is a good amount of flow. Is, you gotta remember, these things come from the ocean, so you'd be surprised at what they can take for amount of water movement. But yeah, I'm happy with a 10 alkalinity. Like I said, a few weeks ago it was 10.5, so that's telling me that the coral are growing, and they're staying, you know, they're growing a little bit more than what is being able to be kept up at the moment. You know, steady 10.5, but I'll check it again in a few days and just make sure that it's not like dropping down. I don't think it is. I also run I say a high pH because Kalkwasser raises your pH, and the last few days has been amazing up here in Maine. So the windows have been open in the house, so the pH was, I think it peaked at like 8.6 last night. So do you test magnesium and calcium? Yes. Magnesium, I haven't tested in a long time because my calcium has been in check. Plus, doing weekly water changes, kind of, not saying you don't have to, but on a small tank like this, it's not irrelevant. You should test to just get an idea, but I haven't done it in a couple weeks. Calcium's usually around like 420, 440. I've had it lower than that, but that's when I started upping my Kalkwasser solution. So yeah, again, I don't try to, you know, chase a number per se. I just trying to get in a ballpark and kind of stick around that area. I don't make really any drastic adjustments. I did that in the past, and it doesn't work out for you. It never works out for you if you try to change something. Even if your pH is through the roof or your alkalinity is through the roof, trying to change it within like a 24-hour period is just not good. You know, if your alkalinity is through the roof, stop dosing whatever you're dosing. Let your tank, you know, eat up the alkalinity that's in there. But I only dose, and I it's hard to say that I dose it because I don't have it on a dosing pump. I only use Kalkwasser in this tank and water changes. So my Kalkwasser is built, I don't want to say it's built in, but I do 100% saturation Kalkwasser in my auto top off. And this tank does not use a pump. It has a float switch in the back, and it's gravity fed off of the float switch. So it gets Kalkwasser as the top off water and water changes. I also do dose Acro Power for aminos for the tank, but that is it. Fish get fed twice a day off of an auto feeder with 4 different foods mixed in. There's flakes, there's 3 different types of pellets. So 4. Yeah, 4. And then they get fed usually every 2 weeks. I take out a cube of frozen, and that cube of frozen will last me 3 days because I try not to feed them too much with the frozen. But again, that's mostly for me to just watch them eat and see the fish swimming the water column. There is, like I said earlier, if you weren't in the video, I do have an ORA purple dotty back in here, and he is quite the bully. So there's an ORA purple dotty back. There's a midnight lightning clown, main blizzard clown. I have a war paint clown green clown goby. Jeez. 3 chromis. I have 2 emerald crabs in here, 3 hermit crabs in here. I have 1 big Mexican turbo snail and probably 10 small babies that came in as soon as I got it from my buddy. I just started seeing the babies pop up everywhere. And then I have 3 margarita snails that had a bunch of babies as well. I got some zombie snails in the sand. This tank is literally packed to the moon with life. And I really love it. You know, you see something different every day. The corals have started to grow into each other enough that there is, you know, decent amount of coral warfare going on. In the back, I have a Favia that's been stinging one of my digis. The Duncan was underneath my Setosa back, but my Setosa grew so much that I had to move the Duncan, because if not, it was gonna die from not getting any light. And the zoanthids are just growing like absolutely wildfire. So there's that. But that's pretty much about it. I mean, I this is a very, I keep it very, very simple on this tank. I'd much rather take the time and sit and enjoy than have my hands in the tank. I don't think I've had, besides the other day, the last time my hands were in the tank were probably 2.5, 3 months ago. So that's nice. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna go make myself a little iced coffee. You guys enjoy the tank. Well, Demarius, dude, this is the nicest. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really do, because this tank gets a lot of praise from, you know, social media. I have it posted on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, obviously, and it does get a lot of praise, and I truly, truly am thankful about it, because for me, I see it every single day, and it's not that I don't like it, and it's not that I don't love how it looks. It's just, you know, once you see a tank for a while. You're like, man, these guys are growing into each other. I got to do something about this. I got to do something about that. But yeah, this tank has been, knock on wood, very successful for me, and I truly love all the appreciation that it gets because it definitely deserves it. But give me 1 minute. I'll be right back. I'm going to go get myself a coffee. All right, I'm back. The other thing I like about this tank is that it kind of, I guess you would say, defies all the logic of modern reefing. You know, bigger is better, bigger is more stable, all that. But I'd have to say this tank is, again, knock on wood, is, you know, it's been extremely stable. At the beginning, I had a pretty bad case of ulva sea lettuce, but other than that, never really had any issues afterwards. And I'd have to say it was probably the algae reactor that helped that out a lot, because the first year of a reef tank, your parameters can swing quite a bit, and I feel like that will help keep your nitrates and phosphates down quite a bit. Obviously testing to see if everything's going the way you want it to, but how many hours do I run my light? My light is on for a total of 12 hours. It's got a 1 hour ramp up to 100% blues and a 1 hour ramp down from 100%. And I believe at 2 o'clock, let me double check here. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I believe at 2 o'clock, yes, it ramps up to 15% for the peak on my whites. So I don't have a start time for my whites to come on. So I do have a peak point of when I want them, where I want them, which is 2 o'clock at 15%. And it kind of just, I think at 9:30 in the morning, kind of starts slowly over the next few hours, ramps up to 15%, and then back down. So it's got a full 10 hours of 100% blue, and then it slowly has a little bit of whites increasing and decreasing throughout that time period. And it's a super simple controller. You got your time. I think you got six times during the day that you can like change your levels or whatever of your light. But you got 6 slots for times. You can pick whatever time of day you want it on, off, whatever. And then you can set your percentages of your whites and your blues. Again, I'm not a gadget guy per se, so I don't want to, be changing reds and greens and all of those numbers. I just want to have a blue spectrum and a white spectrum, and that's it. Kind of reminds me of the, actually, I'm not sure if Kessel still does it, but I had a Kessel tuna blue on a 40 breeder I used to have, and that's what it had. You had your blues, your white intensity, and like it was just on a dial. You set it up how you liked it, and then however bright you wanted it. And this does use basically a renamed Kessel controller. It's the exact same controller as the Kessel. Oh. But yeah, a few things. What else is going on? So the Jawbreaker up here, when I first got it, I don't even know. I probably had it 8 months. I think I've had it 8 months. Started off very small. It was less than the size of a dime when I got it. But over time, I slowly seen a little bit of green, like a green dot on it, and for a while it kind of went away. Me and my buddy Levi, like I'd show him pictures and be like, "Dude, look, the green's coming in." He'd be like, "Yep, cool." I mean, he wasn't that low key about it. He was pumped too, but it's got 4 dots in it now. It's also got 2 babies right there, another baby starting up back, and there's one underneath these purple zoes. So it's been a really good grower. It it doesn't split. It just continuously walks across the rocks. And I say walk because every time it continues to move, it leaves a little something behind, and then out comes a mushroom. So I never would have thought that, because most mushrooms I seen, have like a little baby that pops up underneath the skirt, or they'll split. This one started off, I think it was right here when I first put it in, and it just, from flow wise, it found a spot that it wanted to stay, and it's been sitting right here, and on its walk over there, it left little babies behind. So I thought that was cool. Duncan's looking way, way better. It's kind of hard to see because my flipper's in the way. That was completely shrunken up, and the color was almost all gone. Half of it had no color whatsoever. But again, that was because it was underneath the Setosa, which is... If you could see the picture of the Setosa when I first got it compared to now, you'd understand why. And I put the Setosa there, not really knowing exactly how it would grow. Because most of them, like, encrust the rock they're on, and then they'll shoot branches out. And this one did do it. It just shot branches straight out over the Duncan. So I had to figure that out. It took me a little bit of time, seeing the Duncan kind of shriveling up, and then finally I decided, yeah, I'm going to move it. But there's been a couple of corals in here that have been, survivors, I guess you would say. My Stylophora, when I first put it in, I'm not sure what was going on. I think I had a leaching magnet from one of my old magnets that were in here, magnet cleaner, and I put the stylo. I had a Postlopora. I actually got my Forest Fire Digi and the Rainbow um, encrusting Monty at the same time, and everything just looked like crap. So what I did is I just did 2 water changes a week for like a month and a half, 2 months, I think, and everything kind of came back around. The stylo had two, I don't even want to say like pinky nails size, like little heads on it. They were probably less than that, to be honest with you. But I just left it in the sand bed and waited for it to, show signs of life. Um, oh, can't forget the candy cane as well. That was 3 or 4 heads when I got it, and within a week of it being in my tank, the skin looked like it was just being like shredded off of it. And I wasn't sure what was going on, so that was another thing during that time that I was just doing my water changes. After, I think it was like after 2 weeks, I looked around to see what was going on, see if I could find anything, and that's when I found that the magnet had split on my magnet scraper, and um, I replaced it with a nano flipper, and those are far more superior. But yeah, just little things. Try and keep it as consistent as I could, and it's worked out quite well. I do have to probably get, I don't know, a peppermint shrimp, I think, in here, like a true peppermint shrimp, because I got little bits of aptasia popping up, and I've had nudibranchs in the past, but they tend to starve out and then not eat anything, so. Yes, Demarius, I do. You go on my videos, and I think I have 2 videos of my algae reactor. It's a DIY algae reactor. If you give me a second, I'll show you it real quick. I'll put it right on the video. Don't mind the mess. This is my my work closet, I guess you would say. Working closet that also stores all of my fishing and reefing stuff. So, let's take a look right here. So this is inside the closet. And let me just turn this on. So, it's got a pump in the first chamber. Comes out, pumps it in, go down through the Chaeto. These lights you can get right on Amazon. I think it's 16 foot. And then I pump it back into the middle chamber right here. I bought this reactor. It was a... what was it? A pellet reactor, I believe, when I got it. I got it off eBay. With the pump. Oh, it was a bio pellet reactor, yeah. With the pump for, I think, like $45, $50. So, for me, it's all about finding the right deal. And when it comes to algae reactors or a place to grow algae, a DIY algae reactor like that is... you can do some serious damage on your numbers with even that. Like, that algae reactor is probably big enough for, say, like a 90-gallon system. And honestly, I don't know what pump it's running. It had a no-name pump with it, but I think it's like a 400 or 500 gallon per hour pump, and it runs full tilt through that reactor. But you could put any pump size tubing, whatever you need to, on it. Trying to think of the company. There's a company that makes reactors, and I can't even think of it off the top of my head. Aquamax. I think that's what it is. Aquamax. Let me Google it real quick. But the Aquamax, if that's the one, like you can get a relatively, and you're talking brand new, like you can get a relatively inexpensive reactor. Aquamax. Yeah, it is an Aquamax reactor. Or you can get, just look around on your marketplace because it's going to be a DIY anyway. So you're going to have to get like tubing and stuff probably to be able to use it. But I think total, the rope light, blah, 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 sorry, was $15 to $20 on Amazon. You do need a power supply for it. I had one here because I have a bunch of them, really. Kids' electronic, old fans. I tend to keep stuff like that just in case, which is good because I had one. But the reactor will say $50 plus the light will say $20. And then tubing was probably $10, the tubing and fittings. The ball valve, was probably, I can't even remember, $6 to $8. But I have it there, but I don't use it. It's wide open, so it's not even like dialed back or anything like that. And then a $2 or $3 plug timer at Walmart or whatever you use for a box store that you can have. You can usually find a cheap one. You can also, if you have a Wi-Fi strip, you can just plug it into your Wi-Fi strip and program it that way. But yeah, they are super, super easy to build. And they are quite powerful on what they can strip out. This tank, like I said, it ran it for the first, I'd say it was probably I built it probably 2 or 3 months in, probably 2 months when I was having the really bad Alva outbreak, and it ran right up until December on 12 hours opposite time. So when the lights went out, that light came on, and when the main display light came on in the morning, that light went off. So, but it stripped my tank of nitrates. I had 0 nitrates for a long time, but my phosphates were slowly creeping up just because it was not able to take the phosphates out. It's mostly nitrates that it actually eats up. In phosphates, I was feeding a little extra heavy, and I was also feeding reefroids more often than I probably should, which is high in phosphates as well. But yeah, I got 2 videos, one that kind of goes over everything, how it's built, and then the other one, I think I also made a video showing not a breakdown, but kind of a 2 weeks of growth that this tank, I mean, it went from, I think it was like half the size, so it grew and it filled the reactor up in 2 weeks with Chaeto if you run it. You do have to feed relatively heavy to get it to do that, but I got to a point where it just had my nitrates so low that I was trying to get some kind of form of nitrates in the system, and they run around 5 right now, and phosphates are like 0.15, I believe. I got a new tester coming in this week, new Salifert tester, so I'll really be able to get an idea of where they are. Again, I don't chase anything. I just kind of like to keep an idea of where everything is. Oh. Let me put my chair up. But yeah, if you guys want to see like how often do you feed frozen foods? Usually every 2 weeks. Mostly because a cube of frozen will usually go bad before I feed it all. Because this system like gets fed 2 times a day already, and not to say that the fish aren't hungry, but they just don't eat as much as they would if I probably didn't feed them twice a day. But I do have frozen downstairs in my freezer, and usually every 2 weeks I will break out a cube of frozen and feed my LPS with some of it, and the fish get fed as well throughout those. So the LPS get fed on the first night along with the fish, and then the next 2 nights the fish gets some frozen until it's gone. But like I said, one cube of frozen lasts quite a bit because I only feed it once a day when I do use it. So usually it goes bad before I feed it all. But I do feed the corals, but I just don't feed them, weekly. It's usually every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something around there. And when I do decide that I'm going to feed them is when the fish get fed frozen. And I think I can't remember which one it is. It's like a mix. It's got mysis, brine, some other ones in it. But it's like a mixed cube, so it has a bunch of different, meaty pieces in it. I can't believe you don't use Alpha Reef. Yeah, people always want me to go on the Alpha Reef. Not that I don't want to. There's going to be a time where I'm probably going to have to switch something up, but I do a water change every week, and that's just, it's something I just do it. It's my consistency. I do it all the time. Between that and my Kalkwasser and my auto top off, I have no reason to. My magnesium stays fine. My trace are fine. Not that I've tested for trace, but every week it's getting a water change, so the corals don't eat up trace that fast. But yeah, it's more of, I guess you would say, budget minded. In this reef system, like Alpha Reef would not be that expensive, but Kalkwasser it's dirt cheap. It works. It's been working since the 70s. So it's just super easy. Some people have their own horror stories or whatever with Kalkwasser, but I've never had an issue. So I use Seachem Kalkwasser. I've had this, I think over a year now, and it still has a third left in it. So I just like, I don't know, the simplicity, I guess, when it comes to just having to do water changes and having calc in my auto top off. At the moment, Of course, once this tank continues to grow, there might be a point where the growth exceeds the ability of the kalkwasser, and I might have to do alpha reef then. But I'll still continue using kelp because it will make it so that my alpha reef lasts that much longer. Um, but yeah, I mean, down the road I'll probably have to, but right now I don't use it. And I have been told a couple of times that I should be, but you know, everybody has their own ways of doing it, and my way of doing it is this way, and it works for me, and it's continued to work. And when I get to a point where the tank can no longer keep alkalinity up and my calcium's dropping because it's growing so much and my magnesium's way off, I'll adjust. God, the iced coffee is hitting. Oh, it is pouring outside right now. Well, it's probably a good thing I didn't go golfing with my buddy today then. Also, I don't know if I mentioned, I use reef crystals, instant ocean reef crystals as my salt. So, um, has usually like higher end of alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. So, um, that also helps being able to keep it where I want at the moment. Mm. The old wave maker has been sucking water ever since I cleaned it. I might have to move it down just a smidge, but it never used to pull a swirl like that and then suck air. But after doing a citric acid bath the other day, cleaning it up really well, it really moves the water. So well, I guess you can. And then you can kind of see this one. Yeah, right there. That's the Tiger Crossflow. That got cleaned as well. Return pump got cleaned. The return nozzles got cleaned as well. Those were packed with coralline algae. Enough that it was probably restricting flow because they're not very big, those random flow generators. But they look brand new now, nice shiny and green. What do you use to mix your salt water? Well, I can show you real quick actually. My mix station, quote unquote mix station, is across the hall. So, this is my laundry room. So, I have, of course, my RODI system. Let me take this off real quick. Got my RODI system that I've had for almost 10 years now. Non-name brand. TDS meter on it, flow, flush valve as well. Brute trash can, had that for 10 years probably. So all I do with that, put that up on top here. I got my drain right there. Fill my bucket up. This always stays open right here. And then I have a 2-bucket method. Here's my salt bucket. Right there. This being such a small tank, that's all you need right there. It stays mixing all the time. All I have is the stock return pump that was in the tank to mix my water, because I did upgrade to a CJ 0.5 silent for the return, and I use the stock one to mix my salt. That's all there is. I haven't had to change my filters. I changed them when I first got the tank because I've had this system for so long that I just left it in my garage. And living here in Maine, that is not ideal because, well, things freeze in the winter, and that still had water in it when I put them in my garage when I moved back to my hometown. And they cracked. 3 of the canisters cracked, and I had to replace all the filters in the membrane anyway. So long story short, I rebuilt it 100% last year when I set this whole tank up, and I made a lot of water because I was doing my double water changes for this when I had my issues. And my buddy Levi, 207 Nano Reefing, check him out on YouTube. He's got a Fluval Flex 32. Basically, very similar setup to mine. Hydro power heads, night crew light, CJ return pump, random flow generators, mixed reef. Like, he does his own thing with it, but very nice tank. Very, very nice tank. But we made a lot of water because I was making water for his water changes and mine, and needless to say, it runs flawless, super easy, relatively compact in the laundry room, doesn't need to take up a lot of space, but I do want to hang it up on the wall. That's something I do want to do in the future. That way it's all just, all I have to do is just turn a valve kind of thing, and I can start making water. I don't have to, pick it up, put it on top of the washer, and I mean, you get the idea. But that is how I mix my water. I mix it to 1.026, and I always double check before putting it in, but no booster pump. I have a well at my house, and my well pumps 65 psi into the house, and I have low TDS as it is, so I do not use a booster pump. I have plenty of pressure, I would say. And again, I don't need to, it's a 75 gallon per day RODI unit, but I mean, this tank is only 13.5 gallons, so if I can make 13 gallons in a day, I'm relatively happy. And I also have the flush valve for the membrane, so my membrane stays pretty clean with flushing, so I don't find a need to have that extra pressure. If I do something for extra pressure, I will probably run a booster pump in the future, like if I get like a bigger tank. But right now, yeah, I think it goes in at, I think my water goes in at like 25 TDS, and it comes out of my membrane at 1 to 2 TDS. And obviously, once it comes out of the DI resin, it's 0, unless my DI is used up. But yeah, no booster pump. Purely my well pump in my back utility room of my house. Which I can adjust that to. Well, not adjust it, but I can get one that goes from like 60 to 80, I believe, versus 40 to 60. But yeah, measured it was like 65, I think, on my pump outside, 64, 65, so. And I also have a dug well, so I don't want to say that the water is like no impurities in it, but it's not like artesian where I'm down and I'm picking up like some really bad stuff. I know my father's water, he lives about 10 miles down the road, and his water is like terribly hard. Mine is, there's a river, probably from where we're sitting right here, 100 yards away, there's a river, one of the cleanest rivers in the state of Maine. And then you have a brook, right, not a brook, a stream. But the stream is fed, I think there's a couple of spring feeds into it. I know there's a spring right behind my house that feeds into it, so my well, I believe, is only 3 or 4 tiles deep, so it's not very deep, but so it doesn't really have a lot of contaminants in it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Pretty relatively clean water as it is. I am not a pesticide spraying guy either, so I don't worry about any of that getting into the system. So I keep it pretty simple around here. That's also because I have the ability to do that. Not everybody has that, you know. Living on city water and all of that, it's probably, you want those RODI units being as efficient as possible, but I forgot about that little guy. Best things you can have. Velcro straps. Wire management is perfect. Take her easy, Demarius. But yeah, check out my algae reactor video when you get a chance. I also have one going over my lights and a couple other things. I haven't made an actual video in a while, so... But I do like doing lives. Lives are really nice because I get to answer all the questions right here, and it's not so quote-unquote formal. But have a good day, bud. I'll probably be cutting this one short in 8 minutes, just because I'll be having to go get my kiddos off the bus at 3. So I gotta go prepare for the rainstorm that's going on outside. Take her easy, Demarius. Have a good day, bud. But if you guys have any questions or anything like that, definitely send me the questions before I end the video. If you don't have any questions, don't worry about it. Just sit back and watch the reef. That's pretty much what I do. So, um, if you can, if anybody's still in here, hit the like button. If you guys like the live stream, and yeah, not much more than that. I'll have some more live streams coming up. Like I said, I like doing this more than making like dedicated videos on a quote unquote subject. Uh, but I do have a product I've been testing. I've had it set up on the tank for I think 2 weeks now, and I will be doing a video on that. It will be releasing soon. I'm just trying to get a little bit more time with it, see how it plays out, I guess you would say. But I did have a company reach out to me on Instagram and ask me if I'd like to review one of the products, so I said, yeah, sure. So I do have a video coming out soon on a review. Mm. I might have to put the mirror back on the tank. That dotty back is... it's being a nightmare. Ooh. Oh. All right. Well, I'm gonna cut the live short here, and I'll have another one here soon. But hopefully you guys were able to enjoy the reef, and take her easy, guys. Have a good day.